it is. It's absolutely. You don't have to be a shell. Like, you know what's funny? Look at this. So I gotta show this. So you see this, right? So that right there. So during that point, in the because the vast majority of these people really want to accept let me see if I can Sherlock Holmes this shit real quick. Because I think some people need to see this. I'm going to try to find Sony. Let's get
All right, what's up, guys?
Games, while I respect the developers, I feel this is like my stance even with Nintendo. I respect the
So this
developers,
is my
I
boy,
respect the hard work it takes to make these games.
Red Related. He's talking
However,
about
appreciate
Xbox
it,
stuff. I'm a
Calvin.
Sony fan myself, but he's talking about how this
I don't
Xbox
like
changes and what
the
we
company.
supposedly don't know.
I've said many
It's interesting
times
to
that
watch.
Nintendo
I'm
can
getting
go
ready
fuck
for
themselves
EDM, so
as a company, and I have
chilling,
just
play
a
a little
little
bit of
bit
Street
more
Fighter before
respect
then.
for Sony. Just a little, not
Doing
much,
watch
but a
No
little
Cam
bit.
today, just Mike. So y'all talking in the
So
chat.
these are the facts.
If y'all don't like this, you tell me how to
Sony
change it, put it to something else.
Won't
just
follow
chilling
Game Pass
today.
model on
Right.
PS5, doesn't believe it's sustainable. For us, having a catalog of games is not something that defines a platform. Perhaps a little pointedly at his rival, our pitch, as you've heard, is new games, great games. We have had this conversation before. We are not going to go down the road of putting new releases titles into a subscription model. These games cost many millions of dollars, well over 100 million to develop. We just don't see that as sustainable. You know what's funny? There was a time, and I will say this again, there was a time where good old Sony didn't even want to put your exclusives on PC. You know what the first game that was on PlayStation that made its way to PC that was of note? The chick that rode the dinosaur, the robot dinosaurs. What's that fucking game? What the fuck is that called? It's like you're dealing with robotic dinosaurs or some shit like that. Anyway, that was the fucking game that was a Sony exclusive that was ported to PC. I believe that was the first game that Sony decided to port to PC. That was a first-party game from Sony. And that was something that Sony had gone on record and saying that they would never do. I knew from that moment on, they are full of shit. What they do, yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn, thank you. I knew from that very moment that they were full of shit. What Sony does as a business is they lie in wait and they benchmark, or yeah, they fucking copy what Microsoft does. I just literally I had 20 people in this live stream a few moments ago, and I actually showed the hypocrisy of PSN and how they fucking ripped that whole
Yeah, if you're a
premise from
Sony
Game
fan,
Pass.
he rips into Sony pretty hard.
And
so.
my streamers,
I'm a Sony
went
fan
from
myself,
fucking
so
20
I'm
to 13.
But he says he's spitting stacks. I'm just looking, seeing what he's talking about.
You can't make this up. So I already know who's lurking. I already know they're in their fucking feelings. I get it. You want your team to win. That's fine. It is what it is. But the thing is, I like to deal with truth. I like to deal with the facts. And the fact of the matter is that because Microsoft was not able to become #1 during the Xbox 360 era, despite it selling 85.7 million units, they decided to go a different direction. And with the advent of Game Pass, they're able to generate money month after month after month after month after month. You didn't think that Sony didn't stop what they were fucking doing and looked over and said, "Oh, wait a second. This Game Pass, I think they're making some money." You don't think they didn't think that? Like I said, people, it's business. Both these companies are C corps. Their whole existence is to turn a profit. Because there's a difference between an LLC, an S corp, and a C corp. Big differences. Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft, they're all C corp corporations. So, by their very nature, Microsoft and any other company in every other genre and every other industry, they are trying to increase their market share. In fact, let's look this up. Because I'm about showing improvement here. Let's say, here we go. What is the current market share of the three of, should I put this? Okay, Nintendo, Sony, and I guess Xbox. Let's see what comes up. Okay, there you have it, people. And this is from two sources. This is from SQ at Magazine and 6W Research. Here is the market share across 3 platforms. Do you see where PlayStation is? I'm actually surprised Nintendo isn't further ahead of Xbox, honestly. But at the end of the day, are you going to see any of this from anybody else? I hate to be the bearer of bad news. See, this is precisely why I don't believe I will ever be
I should not
a very
cancel a
large
super
channel.
like that.
Is because I refuse to do clickbait bullshit. I refuse to do fake outrage. And I refuse to parrot other people's talking points. I choose to show statistical facts based off of companies that do their fucking research, and that is their job. And I choose to illustrate what is and not what people want it to be. Do you think I like seeing that PlayStation has a 45% market share and I'm an Xbox guy? No, I don't like it. But I will still speak on it because, you know, I'm about the news. I'm about what is. I'm about the truth. If you want to clip this, clip this for a second. You can spin bullshit 1,000,001 ways, but there's only one way to tell the truth. I don't need to be first. I don't need to chase the fucking algorithm. Be like, I gotta get this out now. No, I don't care. I want to be right.
What up?
That's the difference.
Get it done.
That's the difference between me
going pretty good.
and fucking
Doing a
no
little Doom
count
stream.
fucking idiots like
Got
Crap
somebody
Gamer,
talking about
like D-Bat,
Microsoft.
like
I'm a PlayStation guy, but I've known this guy in FGC for a while.
That don't know what the
I've played.
flying fuck they're talking about.
I've seen him in person.
They don't.
And he's talking about what's going on with Microsoft and Sony and stuff. He's a Microsoft guy. I'm a Sony PlayStation guy, so he's ripping on Sony pretty little bit, but
all this shit.
just seeing what the information going, how things going.
I say this to illustrate a fundamental point.
Oh, this is your.
I'm starting to recognize.
We enjoy it. This is a little chill because I'm getting ready to go to a concert, so I'm just chilling for a little bit.
Unless you are
getting ready.
Talking about some sensationalistic topic,
chill out a little bit, get ready for
you are going to get buried.
The concert. Just doing a slow stream, not like a chill stream.
That's what it is.
Ain't got my camera out, just mic only, and just chilling right now.
That's the thing.
Playing with some Viper, The Addiction.
I have literally broken down aspects of why Microsoft is the way they are. Do you know if I was like I don't know, somebody else, I would have hundreds of people in this stream. Hundreds. What do I have? What? 5? What do I have here? 14 for now? So I appreciate those that are here, but it just goes to show me that at the end of the day,
I'll be getting ready for Resident Evil Requiem. So after this, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just getting ready for Resident Evil.
That will shatter people's
I haven't been on City of the Wolves, so I might get back on it.
right here.
But until after I beat Requiem.
This shuts down basically everything. These numbers don't really change all that much because PlayStation has remained the de facto market leader. And even during the Xbox 360 time,
I forgot what they're called.
As I said, that
EDC
they sold 85.7 million consoles, and they still could not overtake Sony. So with the advent of the whole Game Pass situation, Microsoft realized that no matter what they do in the console space, they will always basically be third place. They will always be the one to have the limited market share. So what do? There are a few things that you can do business-wise. What you can do is you can start porting your games on your competitor. And this burns gamers right up. They're like, oh my God, you're putting Halo on PlayStation. Oh, it's the end of the world. Let me look at something else. Let's look at install base. What is the current installed base of PlayStation versus Xbox?
Ooh. Ooh, got throw in.
And this is by Quantum Run as far as the source. Here is the reality, folks. Do you see that? I hope you people are seeing this. Because I'd hate to move on, and the very few of you that are here are not seeing this actual proof. This is very important data. Very important. Because it illustrates something. And it leads to why Microsoft is doing what they're doing with the Xbox. If Microsoft were to continue down the path of the traditional console war, full-on exclusive, all of this shit, many gamers do not understand that if Microsoft were to continue down that road, Microsoft would lose billions upon billions upon billions of dollars, and the Xbox division would be closed. Does the average gamer understand this? Fuck no, they don't. As I said, they understand this. That's what they understand. They understand this, and they don't understand much else beyond. It's a sad reality. It's a sad reality. Looking at this install, this is 80.3 million compared to 30 million. So let me explain something to you people.
Ooh.
Let's just say.
Yep. Getting ready for that concert, chilling.
Let's just say if I'm Microsoft. Now this is, in fact, I'm gonna leave a fucking stream marker for this one. This needs to be explained.
He's gonna drive Impact hard.
I'm gonna make believe I'm doing a YouTube segment right now. What I'm about to share with you right now is a fundamental.
I'm trying to catch the drive Impact, but
in why Microsoft has decided to go multi-platform, if you will, with their exclusive games. But it's important to also recognize what you are seeing on your screen right now as it pertains to the installed base of the PlayStation versus the Xbox. For those of you that may not understand what you're looking at, let me try to help you out. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Microsoft made a brand new Halo. And this particular Halo cost them $200 million to make. Let's just say, we're going to use arbitrary numbers. If it cost Microsoft $200 million to make, let's call it Halo 7.
there you go.
If every single person bought that game on Xbox, if we are going to look at those numbers and say, okay, so 30 million people have an Xbox.
Trying to do that the whole time, still messing up execution.
That means 30 million people in the best case scenario. Every single Xbox user bought that Halo 7. By comparison, if Sony came out with God of War Egypt, and that game also cost $200 million to make, and every single PlayStation owner bought a copy of that game, that would mean that 80 million people bought God of War Egypt, and 30 million people bought Halo 7. Is this starting to coalesce? Is the understanding there that even if the best case scenario, if every single person on Xbox bought
Yeah,
that
so I'm
game,
negating
Halo
his
7,
sonic booms. It's hard for him to
it
just.
would not generate the amount of revenue that Microsoft needs overall to countermand the amount of budget, the amount of money that went in to make the game. You can argue it would make some profit, yes, but would it make 80 million user profit? No.
Jeez.
This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's business. You have to look at the numbers. There are more people that have a PlayStation than they have an Xbox. So if you were to put an equally impressive game on both platforms and they have 100% sell rate, which is unheard of in business, but we're just make-believing. Sony's game will always outperform Microsoft's game, no matter what, because there's just more PlayStations. So if you're Microsoft, what is the next best thing that you can do from a business standpoint? What you can do is you can license your game. So in this same situation, now you have those 30 million people that would buy Halo 7 on Xbox. But you also have several people on PlayStation. They may not like Xbox, but they have an interest in Halo. But they don't want to buy an Xbox console, or maybe they just don't have the money for it to play that game.
Gotta be
So
patient.
what Microsoft
Conditioning.
does is they license Halo to PlayStation. So now, in addition to the 30 million people that bought Halo 7, you now tap into a percentage of the PlayStation users that will also buy Halo 7. That is how this works. This is what you call licensing 101. And according to industry standards, there is a 70-30 split between the licensor and the platform holder. The platform holder being Sony. So now, if we're going to assume that Halo 7 would be $69.99, that would mean that 70% of that revenue, of that $70, that PlayStation fan bought Halo 7, 70% of that comes back to Microsoft. And the platform holder maintains 30%. Then you break this down further. Out of the 70% that Microsoft gained,
My God, they
Microsoft
don't break
keeps
wrong.
30 to 40% of that number as profit. That is how this works. And that is how and why Microsoft is doing what they are doing. This is why at the very beginning, when Phil Spencer actually went on record and said, well, somebody asked him, because I believe the first 4 games was, I think it was Minecraft, Forza, Sea of Thieves, and something else. They asked him, can we expect more games to arrive on PlayStation? He said, we will have a wait and see. They will wait and see how this performs. You know what these content creators did? They made it as if Phil Spencer said, no, this is the only games that will be on PlayStation, which is a categorical lie. But many average gamers that don't do their own research, they took it and ran with it. And people were calling for, oh, Phil Spencer should resign. Believe me, I heard and read all of that bullshit fucking articles that was on YouTube.
God Impact reaction
I read
practice.
it all. I heard it all. It was all nonsense. It was all lies. Phil Spencer never once said we are only going to port these 4 games over on PlayStation. He never said that. Never said that. It was even printed. He never said it. He never said it. But
Trying to get the Drive Impact
Sony
reaction.
fanboys and the so-called gaming journalists who are basically PC elitists and Sony fanboys in disguise that don't want to report on the news as it is. You want to create and shape the news for what it is to fit your own narrative. That's what you people do. And you take it and you run with it.
There you go.
And the average gamer that doesn't know any better, you guys are fed the bullshit. You eat it up left and right, and you think that's what the reality is. No. That's
Ah, the neutral jump too close.
so that's what Microsoft has been doing when it comes to putting the exclusives on Halo,
E-jump.
Gears of War E-Day, Sea of Thieves. Now, a viable question would simply be, why would Microsoft buy Bethesda if they're only going to put Starfield and other Bethesda games on PlayStation? If they knew they were going to do that, why buy the studio? It's a viable question, and here is the answer. You cannot license something to someone else that you do not have ownership over. Let me say it again. You cannot license something to another brand, another company, if you do not have ownership of it. That's like, do I have the right to give your phone to somebody else? No, I don't have that right, but I do have the right to give my phone that I own to somebody else. This is why I say gamers do not understand business at all. It's insane. It really is fucking insane.
I tried to get the medium one.
Microsoft decided to buy Bethesda largely because Starfield was originally going to be a PlayStation exclusive. That was one of the major reasons. One of the major reasons. And at that time, Starfield was pretty much promoted and expected to be the next big thing. So
There you go.
Microsoft decided, you know what? I think it's in our best interest to just simply buy Bethesda. Right now, Bethesda as a company, they are not beyond our grasp financially. We have the money, we can do it,
The offense.
and that's why they did it.
The offense.
So now that you have Bethesda, you are now able to license Elder Scrolls.
So
You're able to
desperate for that
license
overhead.
Fallout. You're able to license Starfield,
Hard to wait.
Wolfenstein, Doom, all of these other games.
He
You're
did
able to
that.
license them all.
Need it.
As
Need it.
PlayStation users buy these games,
You saying like
70% of that money from the point of sale digitally is coming back to
he was
Microsoft.
desperate for that person.
But these
Guile.
fuck content creators and
Did
these
he-
shill journalists will have you believe
He didn't
that
quit. I
this
think
is
he.
actual
They
bad
always.
thing.
I gotta wait to see what they do.
Do you know why gamers think this is a bad thing? Because they are stuck again in the 1990s thinking that this is all about console wars and exclusivity. No. That is an antiquated model,
Oh,
and it is
Demonic
one
Fire.
that Microsoft tried and it just isn't working. And they decided to go a different direction because Microsoft will never have the foothold necessary in Asian territories to help bolster that market share. Because if Microsoft was solely relying on having you buy an Xbox or whatever console, the amount of money that they can get from games sold will never even come close to what Sony can do. Why? Because Sony has a much larger market share and they have a much larger installed console base. You are not going to beat Sony at their game. You are not going to beat Nintendo at their game. This is the reason why they do what they do, and what they do traditionally, it just does not work for Microsoft. Now another good question would simply be, because I have to post, because I know most gamers will not pose questions like these, so I'm doing this for myself. Another question would be, well, if Microsoft is putting all of their games, and all is an exaggerated term, if they're putting all the games and going multi-platform as it were, then what's the point of buying an Xbox, the console? Why is Microsoft coming out with a 10th generation hardware? I'm going to explain to you why Microsoft continues. You know what, honestly, let me help you guys out. Let's consult the internet yet again. Here's a good question. Since Microsoft continues to port Xbox exclusives to PlayStation, why?
He didn't have that. He just got that critical art. Damn.
Wait, why does Microsoft continue?
He just got that critical art.
Hardware.
He wants to
Let's see what comes up here.
Yeah, he's gonna do that now.
So I guess we're just gonna read this. Fuck it. Microsoft's ongoing investment in Xbox hardware, even as many of its exclusives reach PlayStation and other platforms, is driven by a multi-layered strategic rationale grounded in Game Pass dynamics, brand identity, and competitive positioning. Game Pass dependency on consoles, primary revenue driver. Do you people see this? Let me highlight this for you, for those that might be blind. Do you see that point? Do you read that? Do you read what that says? What does that say? As I call upon the chat to read that one particular thing that I have highlighted. Hopefully the highlight is showing it on the article here. Does anybody see that? That one little thing, that one little sentence I highlighted? Anybody? Or is everybody just lurking and not reading? This is very important. This right here, I could disregard this entire article right now because of this one sentence. That one sentence right there. But many of your favorite content creators will not do this. Thank you. Thank you, Masatsu. I certainly appreciate that. Most subscribers.
It's going in deep.
What it says here is most subscribers also own an Xbox console. That's what it says.
I gotta understand. It's probably just hard to cross up.
So what this means is that it is against Microsoft's it's not in their best interest for Microsoft to stop making hardware.
Yeah, I gotta start thinking.
Because the vast majority of Xbox Game Pass memberships are on console. That's why. This is why Microsoft does not go the route of Sega and just outright be a third party. So when you have some of your favorite content creators and other dumb fucks that's on Twitter
Yeah,
and
I'm
Reddit
trying to.
saying, well, they're putting all their games on Xbox, so they should just go third party. These are retards that don't understand anything. Microsoft would literally be cutting its face. They'd be slashing their own wrist if they were to go third party 100%. This is why when these idiots were spewing the nonsense that Microsoft, they're leaving the console market. And many people were posting about this. Many people were making videos about this. And I felt like
That's
I was
a
the
deep. That
only
was deep.
voice of fucking logic
That was a
and reason
mix.
that said,
He was going for a straight mix.
if Microsoft is abandoning hardware, then wait a minute. Then if they're abandoning hardware, then why did they sign a 10-year
Oh, I can't jump that.
deal with AMD?
Oh, what? I was literally going for Critical Art. It didn't come out.
Reacted when I read it. I literally put my head in my hand and I was like this. I was like, you cannot be this stupid.
Because I knew that's what he was going for.
So Microsoft signs a 10-year deal with AMD
What?
to create hardware. But according to them, with their trust me bro sources, Microsoft is leaving Xbox
Oh,
hardware.
he's going for it.
Oh my god. These
Hardware.
people are fucking stupid.
Oh my God. What?
These people are fucking stupid. You know, if you are Microsoft and you run $1 trillion company, I don't think that you would sign a 10-year deal
God.
with AMD with the goal of coming out with hardware if you were leaving hardware. But the funny thing is, many of these dumb fuck gamers out there, and sadly my YouTube peers on the internet, they will have you believe this fallacy. It's absolutely insane. I am just blown away. I'm blown away. It really is amazing. It's enough to kind of knock the wind out of my sails because such idiocy, such asinine takes are retweeted, reposted, gains 50,000, 200,000 viewers, and I'm like over here sitting down saying to myself, common sense truly is not common, and critical thinking has left the human race. You really believe that a $1 trillion company is going to sign a 10-year deal with AMD?
He might have
A
to go.
deal that was officially announced and publicly spoken about, that Microsoft is then going to all of a sudden say, nope, we're good. We're out of hardware. We're going to be third party. Do you know what that would be
He's probably
considered?
a
This is why I say in my thumbnail that most gamers don't know shit about business. If Microsoft were to do that, it would be considered a breach of contract. A contract with AMD. AMD would rake Microsoft over
Yes.
the coals.
Lucas are like,
It would be arguably the largest fucking lawsuit in the history of mankind. oh my god. I can't understand. This is the reason why when some people comments in my videos, and it's like they're trying to dictate to me on what little information that they have of business, and more specifically the gaming industry. And sometimes I lash out. Sometimes I'll post something as a response, and then I'll like edit the comment, or sometimes I'll delete the comment, and I'm like, all right, maybe that was a little too harsh, because I am beyond convinced that the majority of gamers do not know shit about business. I'm convinced. I'm beyond convinced. And many of the YouTubers you guys follow, you guys, it's like the blind leading the blind. And it's just, even right now, I'm speaking in a very low energy tone because I feel like the energy just leaves me. I truly feel that no matter how many hours I spend breaking down everything about Microsoft, how the gaming industry works, why Microsoft does what it does. You know what, out of curiosity, how many people is even in the industry? Let me see. Is it still double digits? Let's see. How many people are there? 11. Wow. 11 people. I am literally speaking into the void. I am speaking into the void. It's literally...
No people listen, I'm just playing.
It's almost pointless. It's almost pointless. Nothing I say. I can show article after article, which I've done. I've had videos on my YouTube channel where I've taken 5 fucking hours to put together videos illustrating points, articles, linking the articles, everything. Maybe 100 views, if I'm lucky. But again, if I talk about the trash that is
This one, dude.
1,000 views. The math is not math. So this is where I say that most gamers, they don't know shit about gaming, or should I say the business, and they don't care. And it is what it is. So you're gonna have people like Smash JT, Bella Dark, Crap Gamer USA, who's the other one? What's another guy? RGT. They're gonna, you know, I mean, they do good work. I mean, they're big channels, very large channels. But when it comes to what I'm talking about, they don't know shit. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to the gaming industry and Microsoft specifically. And because from what I understand, their current objective right now is trying to expose, Asha Sharma, the new CEO, she's not a real gamer. I can't believe that's even real news. I cannot believe people subscribe to trash like this. I'm mind blown. I'm mind blown. I am truly mind fucked. It's enough to make me feel like, you know what? Maybe I should just give up and just exist on Twitch and just play random video games and just give up, because it literally feels like no amount of me, whether it's me speaking calmly, me ranting, me showing the proof, breaking down the articles, showing the stock fucking information, nothing matters. These people, all they know is what limited info they get from fools on the internet that don't know their asshole from a hole in a wall when it comes to this particular topic. It's enough to make me really question, is it worth me spending 4 to 5? Do you know how long it takes to find the articles that I need specifically, to tie them in the B-roll, to make them appear as I'm speaking. So if I'm mentioning Xbox such, the article, like, it may sound simple, but when you are doing this for hours, unfortunately, at the end of the day, you know, it just feels like an exercise in futility. That's what it feels like. It feels like that. It really does feel like that. In fact, there was something I reposted not too long ago. I think it was it? No, wait. Oh, I gotta go to my profile. Right here. So you see, this is her right here. This is one of her posts. So basically, people are agreeing, or oh, this is it right here. So people were literally pulling into question this woman's gaming acumen, as if that means two shits for her role, which it does not. So good old Ryan McCaffrey, another guy. Do I believe that AI is writing Asha Sharma's posts? No. Do I believe that an experienced gamer on the Xbox team may be helping her sound more like a real gamer with her social replies? Yes. Do I think it's a bad idea for her to try and fake this? Yes. And what does she say? I agree. Faking would be a terrible idea and wouldn't work. I also didn't expect my gamer tag to blow up, and the reality is more boring. I created it recently to learn and understand this world. I've played with my family, and it's a shared home account across devices, which you can see in the range of games/achievements. Fixed that this weekend, and everyone is only playing on their own gamer tags. But I get where this is coming from. I don't pretend to be the best gamer, and even though I'm playing, that's still not my goal. My focus is to make Xbox the best place to play, return to our roots, ship great things, and become stronger for the future. And yes, I'm writing my own posts. Do you really believe that it just, I don't understand. And then you have a comment like this. But I think if too much bias towards Xbox reviews, well, so am I an Xbox user? Yes, I am. Here is my Xbox Series X. I used to have the Xbox One X. I had the Xbox One. I had the Xbox 360. I had the OG Xbox. The problem here is where you might detect some bias, is because I'm reacting to the obvious bias that the gaming fucking community has levied against Microsoft for years. From the journalists, from gamers themselves. I've seen this. And I'm one of those people that not only am I aware of what's going on with Microsoft, I am also aware of what's going on with Sony, and I'm also aware of what goes on with Nintendo. And there's nothing wrong with being a fan of your particular platform. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. There is a difference, however, when you're spewing lies. If you are a Sony fanboy or a fangirl, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that connotation gets a bad rap, right? I guess you can call me an Xbox fanboy, right? Well, I'm a man, but you get my point. The problem comes in where you are are taking to your platform as a content creator and you are making it your mission to say, this particular platform is dead. This platform sucks. This has no games. This is this. You're no longer reporting on news. You are basically using your platform to spew bullshit. There's a big difference. I have many people that I know that love PlayStation. I have friends that love Nintendo, and they know my position on Nintendo as a company. As a company, I say Nintendo will fuck themselves. Their games are pretty good. Even though I know Nintendo as a company basically weaponizes nostalgia to keep their fan base hooked and have them paying premium prices for subpar capability hardware or anemic hardware. I do know that for a fact. That's a fact. That's not my opinion. I also know that Sony, many times, their infrastructure has been hacked into, and Sony executives knew that their service was susceptible, and they did nothing to warn their fucking player base. Nothing. And this did not happen just once, not twice, but a few times. Did Sony alert anybody? Alert those people that have their debit card information embedded on their console? Fuck no. So I know how scummy both Sony and Nintendo can be as companies. Now I also know that Microsoft, on their front, my main issue with them is how they handle contracts and their reliance on DEI and woke agendas. That's the shit I can't stand. So we can talk about all three platforms if you want. I have enough for all of them. The difference is that unlike the typical fanboy that has blinders on that only says, Sony is godlike, Microsoft is bad, Nintendo is great, PlayStation's horrible. I see everything. It's just that unfortunately, because the current landscape has the vast majority of the gaming population dogpiling on the fucking Microsoft, but yet and still you have fucking Nintendo that forces you to sign a fucking waiver that disregards you waive your legal rights to sue Nintendo. That gets swept under the fucking rug. But Microsoft charging an extra $10 on a service that gives you access to 500 plus games. The industry has a meltdown over that. Make that make sense. So on one hand, we have a service that gives you digital access to 500 plus games, in addition to various sales on those games upon you deciding to buy them off the service, mind you, in addition to various rewards, in addition to allowing you as a streamer to stream your Xbox games at 1440p, as well as ensuring that the cloud functionality is much more stable and has a faster connection rate. You're going to bitch and complain over a $10 increase, but yet and still not keep that same fucking energy when Nintendo basically told you guys, fuck y'all, if you want to play on our system, you have to waive your legal right to sue us in the event we fuck you. Are you serious? Oh, and these same people that want to argue about, oh, well, Microsoft was caught trying to sell Avowed for $80. Need I remind people who started the $80 game? Who started the $80 game? Fuck this. Let's go. Who started $80 games? There we go. Fuck this shit. Because I ain't got to talk about it. I can just be about it. Who started the $80 game. Let me see if I even word that properly. Where the fuck did shit go? They're probably gonna highlight Avowed because that was most recent. But the first $80 game, let me see, was how should I word this? Was Nintendo responsible for let's see. This started from Nintendo. See, you have to dig. See, the thing is, you have to dig deep, and you have to know how to word your questions. When Nintendo wanted to do this whole $80 thing, this is basically this was something that I knew that was going to reverberate throughout the gaming community, the gaming space, because if other companies see this, other companies are going to jump on this. There is nothing about Mario Kart World that is worth $80. I'm just going to keep it real. You're not going to convince me that $80 should be the price of a fucking Mario Kart game. Get the fuck off the planet. So, when Microsoft was about to release Avowed, because they were the publisher, essentially, they decided to make that game $80, and then that was met with backlash. But what did the game media do? The game media made it appear that this was a Microsoft thing, like they were the orchestrators of this. See, this is why it does sound, and I can understand, it does sound like I'm biased for Microsoft, because you have to look at it from the way I see it is this. It's like if I'm walking down the street and I see 3 people jumping somebody else. Like I literally walk down the street and I'm like, oh shit, I just see 3 people jumping this one guy. That's what I see. So how can I not have a bit of bias? How can I not? When I literally see the entire gaming industry basically have been shitting on Microsoft since day one. Since the very beginning, when Microsoft came into this industry, when they first came into this industry, they were met with fucking skepticism and hatred from the very beginning. And they came out with that big, ginormous black box that looked like a goddamn VCR with an X tattooed on it. That's what it looked like. Nintendo is the reason for the $80 game. So thank Nintendo for that. You want to criticize Microsoft for simply attempting to do what Nintendo opened the door and allowed. Oh my God, this is insane. This is fucking insane. Like I said, you know what? I literally feel like I'm just talking into the void. It really feels that way. It really feels like I speak into the void. It reminds me of those moments if I were to go on somebody's podcast and I know this is off topic, but let's just say if I was to talk about Tekken, everybody's favorite fucking game. If I were to talk about, who are the movers and shakers, right? You got You got this guy Fiddy X. You have Main Man Swede. You have a couple other people out there that speak about Tekken. I think you got Spaghetti Rip. It's kind of a weird name, but you got him and several other people in the Tekken community. If I were to go on any one of these guys' shows, I would completely fillet every single one of them. And it's the same thing with this Microsoft. It's the same thing. If I were to simply recite the information I have off the top of my head, obviously if I'm looking online, I can type up everything I need, but just freestyle, just off the top of my head, I would embarrass anybody I put in front of. I would embarrass them. And it's not, and it may come off as a flex, but you have to understand the reason why I come to this conclusion is because I look through. Let's look through. I look through X, right? Let's see what people are saying on X right now. We're gonna go home, right? So we're gonna. So all right. Did I do it right? Oh, show 104 posts. Okay, so here's Colt Eastwood. Talking about the day that they're departing. Okay. Let's see. This guy, Tekken 8, Moonsault Slayer. This guy is another guy. Tekken 8 has went a full 365 days without reaching another sales milestone. Tekken 8 has been stuck at 3 million copies sold. Blah blah blah. I would address that, but that's beyond the scope of this video. This this stream. Let's see. Got that. I'm looking at all what's considered news on Twitter right now. Let's see. Jay-Z. Oh, Resident Evil. That. Never trust a man who throws games under the bus for a chance in Hollywood. Okay, so they're basically throwing it. So basically this guy, this could be its own video. So this guy, he's the creative director of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a game that has sold millions and has very high remarks, ratings. Apparently he is going to go make a movie. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, this guy's an absolute piece of shit. I fucking can't stand that this piece of fucking unfettered trash is my mayor of New York City. Thank you, progressive, democratic liberals, for basically giving New York City over to a fucking a jihadist fucking terrorist sympathizer. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. Avowed. Let's see. Is 1,000 ratings worth the death of the Xbox console to you? Do the right thing, reverse course while you still can, and save Xbox. Start by keeping Starfield exclusive. Who is this guy? This guy has 7,646 followers. So that means 7,646 people follow this person. Round 2. Fight. Again, another gamer that does not know what the fuck he's talking about. Doesn't know. Yet another one. So, this guy's thought process is the death of Xbox is because Microsoft is porting games over onto PlayStation, of which that every single person that buys Avowed on PlayStation, that $50 price tag that you see, Microsoft is getting 70% of that. And somehow that is a fail. Somehow that's the demise of these people. Do you see this brick wall? You see this brick wall? This is a real brick wall. I literally feel like detaching my own head and smashing it repeatedly against the fucking wall. That's how I feel. And I bet if I were to do that, I would go fucking viral. I would fucking go viral. Can you imagine? I would be on that guy's channel, what's his name, Button Check, the fighting game guy. I'd be on his channel. I would be on fucking Jez Gordon shit. I'd be all over the internet. Oh my God. This YouTuber, Red Related, literally detached his own head and started repeatedly smashing his skull against his brick wall. I would literally go viral, and then maybe I would have thousands of people that would finally learn the facts of this industry. And it would have taken me removing my own head and bashing it against this brick wall. It's sad that's what it probably has to take. It's sad. It's fucking sad. But I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised one bit, because unfortunately, that's just the nature of things. That's the nature of things. So I really don't know. Oh, that's what I was getting into. I was talking about what was the point of Microsoft coming out with additional hardware, even though they are porting games to other platforms. So I was reading this, and so basically, ultimately, it's because the vast majority of Game Pass memberships are on console. So now if we go further down, hardware as a gateway, consoles act as the main conduit for forcing engagement with Game Pass. Oh my God, that statement right there, that is essentially another way of saying you are gaining access to the ecosystem of your platform. That's what that basically means. But because of Game Pass, you are able to access that particular service without having to be tethered to an Xbox console. You can access Game Pass through your phone, through your tablet, through your desktop, through your laptop, like through your fucking smart TV. You can do this. Anyway, let's continue with this one. Brand identity and market presence. These, oh my God, these are terms most gamers have never heard of before. These are terms most gamers never heard of before. Brand identity. I'm willing to wager gamers, and I'm not talking about the children or the teenagers. I'll give them a pass. I'm talking about grown men and women do not understand these terms. So, maintaining relevance, even as exclusivity diminishes, having dedicated Xbox hardware signals Microsoft's sustained presence in the console market. Without a console, the Xbox brand risks losing visibility and cultural relevance in gaming.
That was rough.
Because at the end of the day, people can talk shit about Xbox, the hardware, all they want. At the end of the day, Sega went third party. Sega no longer has a console. Microsoft does. So no matter what you say about, you can hate on the Xbox Series X, Series S all you want. They have a console. That is the point. And maybe you are not an Xbox user. Maybe you're a PlayStation person. Maybe you're a Nintendo person. That's fine. You play where you want to play. But rest assured, there are millions upon millions of people that have Xbox hardware. I am one of them. And we are doing just fine over here. Most of the hate, most of the shilling, most of the fucking grifting comes from people who are not even Xbox users. And if they have an Xbox, they're not really playing on it. That's the facts. This right here, I play on this console every day. Every day. It's a big difference. Big fucking difference. Most of these people who talk all the shit in the world about Microsoft, they don't even have the fucking console. Like, they're talking shit about something they don't even use, they don't even play on. And the thing that also gets me is many of these people, if you're going to report on something, then why not focus on Sony? When I look at guys like PS Guru, D-Batch, Porter Rock, and all those other fucking people on the internet, why don't they focus on Sony? Doesn't Sony have any news? Isn't there things coming out for Sony? Don't Sony have a PlayStation 6 coming out? Why are they so fixated? Why are they so fixated on talking about Xbox, but they're Sony PlayStation creators? I don't understand this. Like, I don't see how this is a bad thing when if we have Gears of War Eden, I don't see how this is a bad thing that we as Xbox users, we can play Gears of War Eden and PlayStation users can't. I think it is better when we have more people across the board playing games. Because at the end of the day, regardless of whether or not you are on PlayStation, Nintendo, or Sony, it's irrelevant. Because you are not getting their money. You're just playing their games. So if you have a company like Microsoft that's saying, hey, if you're on the PlayStation side and you're not looking to buy Xbox hardware, maybe it's too much money, maybe you don't have the money to spare, that's fine. Here, we will give you access to play some of our games. I fail to see how that's bad. And you know why? Because I understand business. Because at the end of the day, underneath the table, Microsoft is profiting off of this. Microsoft isn't doing this out of the kindness of their heart. They're not. They're not. Microsoft is not saying, here, Sony, you want Starfield? Here you go. Here, Sony, you want Gears of War E-Day? You want Halo? There you go. Microsoft is not doing it. Microsoft is profiting off of this. Now, you as the PlayStation gamer, you're benefiting by being able to have access to, I think Outer Worlds 2 is on PlayStation, but definitely Avowed. You're benefiting from that. If you're somebody that enjoys open world RPGs, you're benefiting because you're able to play that game. And soon you're going to be able to play Starfield. You know, contrary to what people say, Starfield is actually not a bad game. It's not a bad game. It's not the worst game, I'll tell you that much. But you know what I'm saying? It's just so odd to me how gamers look at this as a loss. How am I losing? Like, if I'm Microsoft, and I did this earlier in the stream, and I don't know, but you know, I'm gonna do it again, because there might be some people who might not have seen this the first time. So I'm going to pull this up again. It should be in my search history. I think it is right. Yeah, here it is. It's in my search history. Good. So when I post this is not that long ago. This right here is the current install base of PlayStation versus Xbox. This is it right here. And I did post that earlier, but I'm posting it again. And like I said, if I'm Xbox, if I'm Microsoft, if I were to keep Avowed on Xbox hardware, look at that number. Just so I know that people are seeing what they're watching on screen, what is the installed base of Xbox that is displayed on the screen? Can somebody just type that in the chat so I know I have a little bit of feedback to go off of here, please? What number is that? Hopefully somebody will type up something. Type up the number. What is the installed base that is shown on the screen for Microsoft? I'll take a swig of water while I wait for that. 30 million units. Thank you, Masatsu. 30 million units. So that means if Microsoft comes out with a game, and that game is the greatest Xbox game known to fucking... It is the greatest Xbox game ever. It is praised even by the PlayStation fanboys. You know the reality is, it only means that only 30 million people will play it. That's what that means. Now, these numbers are no doubt different now because this is from September of last year. So we're in February. So those numbers increased a bit. But the point still stands. You can have the greatest Xbox game ever created, and if you keep it on Xbox, it's only going to reach 30 million people. If you also put that game, license that game on PlayStation, you now have a potential of 80 plus million people that will buy your game. So you don't think that, and I'm speaking arbitrarily, but people that are on the PlayStation side, they have heard of Halo. They have heard of Gears of War. They've heard of Forza. Some of them actually like some of the Xbox games, but you know, they love their PlayStation. Maybe they're not, they don't have a lot of money to buy a brand new console, so they stay where they're at. But they have interest in playing certain games. Like Jules said here in the chat, she wants to play Avowed. There are no doubt many more people who are like Jules that are on PlayStation that have an interest in an Xbox game, but they just either they refuse or they're not able to buy the hardware for whatever reason. So if Microsoft puts out a banger of a game that reaches the majority of the install base, which right here on this screen is 30 million units, 30 million people basically, because more often than not, most people have only one Xbox per home and play, but I don't need to get into that. We know. So that would mean that if everybody were to buy that game on Microsoft, that's 30 million copies of that game sold. Now, what happens when Microsoft licenses that same game over to PlayStation? You think nobody on PlayStation is going to buy that game? You're fucking out your mind. There's going to be a lot of people that's buying that game. And because there are more people that have a PlayStation, that game now has the potential to even sell more. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, all 30 million people on Xbox buys Halo 7. I used this example before, but I'll use it again. Now you license it over to PlayStation. You now have the potential of reaching 80 million people. Let's say half of those people, let's just say half of people on PlayStation end up buying Halo 7. Let me see if I can do the math here. I'm gonna have some fun with this. Let's see. So I know my math is kind of fucked up, so y'all gonna have some fun with me on this one. So I'm not the best when it comes to math. So, all right. So if we look at $69.99, which is what Halo would more likely be. So we look at, let's just say $70, right? $70. Now, if I were to do, how would I do this mathematically? Let's see. If we take half of PlayStation's user base, which would be according to this, which is 80 million. Oh, I already took it off the screen. So if we split that in half, that's 40 million. So 40 million people bought Halo 7. So that would be, let's just say, what is it? 40 million times 40 million. What would that be? How many zeros is that? What was that, like 6? 7, right? 40 is 1, 2, 3. I think that's 40 million, right? Y'all could, like I said, hey, I make no excuses. My math is not the best. So we do 70 times, I think that's 40 million. I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. let's see. So that's about what, 28? What is that? 28 billion? I'm embarrassing myself. I suck when it comes to doing this type of shit. This is why I didn't do good in math. But my point is, well, I'm already sure that somebody's gonna clip this whole section. So I'm just gonna own it. Red related sucks at doing fucking math. Let's put it out there. But the point is that if you have a 70 million, let me get rid of this. Let me own up my shame. So basically, my point is simply this. If 40 million people on PlayStation decides to buy Halo 7 or whatever game it is at $70, 70% of that total revenue comes back to Microsoft. 30% remains on PlayStation. And out of the 70% that Microsoft gained, 30 to about 40% of that percentage is profit for Microsoft to be reinvested back into the gaming division, to be gifted to the developers, and so on and so forth. So the lifespan of the game expands far beyond just keeping it solely on Xbox. So if we have the game on Xbox, we also port the game over onto PlayStation, get that PlayStation money. We also have the PC version and getting that PC money. How in the fuck is that a bad idea? But many of these fools will have you believe that we should just keep it solely on Xbox as an exclusive. I'm just like, are you serious? Backwards compatibility as well, yes. But it's just the point, and maybe I'm just not doing a good job of explaining it for everybody. But Microsoft is essentially making money from 3 different avenues. They're making money off of those people like myself that have it on Xbox. They're making the money, 70% of it, off of those on the PlayStation side that will go out and buy it. And they're also making money off of those on PC that don't have a PlayStation or an Xbox that decide to buy it. So you're getting, like, it's like, even when I break it down further for myself, it's like, how does this equate to being a bad thing? Because if Microsoft were to keep this only on their console, that means that the growth of that game, revenue-wise, is 100% dependent on how many people buy the hardware. Because if they don't buy the hardware, they will not have access to the game. This is why Microsoft has been pushing Game Pass. This is why Microsoft has been licensing games to other platforms. They are able to bring in additional money without having the user, you as the gamer, buy the hardware. Because the hardware does not make Microsoft money. It doesn't make any console maker money. You think PlayStation is making money selling PS5s? No, they're fucking not. They're in the hole. They're selling. In order for Sony to make money, real money off of selling a PlayStation 5, they would have to charge upwards of $800 to $1,000 per console. That's when they would start to make money off of each time somebody goes and buys a PlayStation 5. So the goal, knowing that people are not going to spend that amount of money for a PlayStation 5, they reduce the cost and sell it where they sell it at. So where now by the time Sony pays AMD their money, They pay the distributor money. They pay the RAM companies that provided it. Once Sony gives out all of the money to the companies that were directly responsible for building the console, Sony is left with maybe 20, maybe 30 bucks. This is the thing that people don't understand. Companies do not make the kind of money that people like this AU guy, dude, all it takes is one Google search. Bro, I am not in the mood today. I am not in the mood today. Because at the end of the day, as I'm trying to educate people, consoles, historically, whether it's Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, whatever, when they sell that console, they are selling it at a loss. Why don't you fucking Google that, bro? Get the fuck out of here, man. I'm tired of these people trying to one-up me in my own shit. Fuck out of here. You move along with that nonsense. Most people know this. You really think Sony is 100% responsible for coming up with the PlayStation 5 or any console? Fuck out of here, they're not. Like, these companies, they have different parts. The RAM, the hard drive, the disk drive. There's a lot of components that make up these consoles. You think that they just fall out of the tree? You think they just fall out of the tree? You think they're gifted to Sony? Does this person, does this, this is what I'm saying. These people, they I'm trying to, let me try to calm down. Let me try to calm down. Let me try to explain something to these fools. I'm gonna do this again. What is the installed base of fucking PlayStation? So we want to talk about Google, right? Let's talk about it. What is the installed base? This is in 2025, assholes, and I'm directing this specifically to these two people here. Read on the fucking screen, idiots. Read on the fucking screen. What does that say on the screen? What is the installed base for Sony versus fucking Xbox as of just a few months ago? Read what that fucking says. See, it's like these people, I feel like smashing my fist through a brick wall. It's like I'm talking to children. This is why I said earlier in the stream, I can literally pull up articles, I can show statistical truth and facts and figures and projections, and people will still push the fucking narrative that they were fed by their little favorite content creators. These are people that don't think on their own. They don't think on their own. They don't have a thought in their own mind. They're going by whatever their favorite content creator says, and most of which are fucking the blind leading the blind. When it comes to a console being sold, they are not profiting. All right, let me see if I can, I'm gonna try to put it in a way that a teenager should understand. I'm gonna open up another tab here because I wanna keep this on the screen because going back and forth with fools is just gonna cause me to raise my blood pressure. What? it annoys me whenever I try to deal with people who don't understand. This is why things like this will only apply and register for people who have some fundamental understanding of business. What I'm showing on the screen right now is the global gaming console market by market share. I want you people to stop typing and start listening. And they're still typing. This guy's a fucking troll. He's a fucking troll. He doesn't know shit. So to everybody else, I'm just gonna ignore the chat from that because this guy's a fucking idiot. When you sell hardware, you are selling at a loss. I said prior, PlayStation 4 sold, gained about, I think it was about $20 to $22. No, excuse me, about $17 to $19 for each console sold, which was revenue for Sony. The Xbox One profited about $22, give or take $1. But that is to illustrate that when these console manufacturers, when they sell consoles, by the time they pay out every single company that was responsible for putting together the console, the RAM chips, the CPU, the GPU, all of that, that is Microsoft and Sony's profit. Historically, Nintendo was the console maker that reaped the most profit per console sold. This is what these dumb fucks don't understand. Now, to illustrate this point further, if you were to have $20 profit, but you have a 45% market share, and your installed base, is it here? Yes. If your installed base, as it is shown here, is about 80 million, right? That means if you were to multiply that 80 million by $20, or just using arbitrary numbers, is it possible for the console maker to make a profit? Yes. I am not saying that they're not making a profit. It's like in order for me to explain this for low IQ people, it's like I have to speak as if I'm talking to a child, as opposed to an actual grown adult. And it's like these people are trying to have like, oh, well, PlayStation made $13 billion or whatever, $13 million. And I'm like, they are selling the console at a loss, you dumb fucks. If you were to total the amount of PlayStations, the small percentage revenue that they gained, I believe that these people believe that when they go to their Best Buy and they swipe their debit card and they buy their little PlayStation 5, they probably believe that $500 or whatever the price it is going directly to fucking. That's what these people believe. That is 100. I'm convinced. That is, I believe this is what these people believe. I believe that. They believe what they pay for in the store, they believe that money is going to Sony. Oh my God. It's very difficult to try to speak to people who just, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know it. It's like if I were to argue people on why Tekken 8 is the way it is. It's like the same thing, but just a completely different argument. But the premise is the same. These are people that don't know the first thing about business. They don't know how this industry works. They don't know why. Oh my god, bro. It's unreal to me. The stupidity and the lack of understanding and just ignorance of this industry it's over 9,000. Like, it literally is through the roof. It's through the roof. Truly. I just would not. It's just ridiculous, man. It's like, literally, I can speak about this until I'm blue in the face. These people will still. I have to sometimes remind myself that not everything is for everybody's understanding, and not everybody can be saved. These people, they will not be saved. They can't be saved. PlayStation is the market leader. Am I denying that? If I was a true shill, if I was a true fanboy in the fanboy sense, I would be denying that. Now, wouldn't I? I'm clearly showing that they are the market leader. And as a result, because PlayStation is the market leader, this leads to the reasoning why Microsoft went the direction they went to. But because you have low IQ like this fucking idiot, was AU, what a stupid name, AU 10666. What a fucking idiot. But people like him make up so much of the gaming community, because it's like they don't know anything. Their understanding of things is very limited. So when you have other individuals that want to understand why things are the way they are, a lot of times those people are drowned out by fools like that guy. It is what it is. This is why a lot of times I don't look at the chat, because sometimes it's like, it's really pointless. I mean, there's a few people that make sense, make good points, but others, it's just complete waste of my time to even look at it. Especially when I'm trying to make significant points. If I'm playing a stupid fucking video game, that's different. But if I'm trying to speak about real shit, it's a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. No matter what happens, Microsoft, unless something really categorically happens, Microsoft will be largely in third place behind Sony and Nintendo. Why? Because Sony and Nintendo have access to something Microsoft will never have access to, and that is the Asian territories. Even if Xbox were to do very well in markets that both favor Microsoft and Sony, the X factor is always going to come down to how is the market in Asian territories. That is going to be what is always going to put Sony over Microsoft. That's what it is. So that reality, when you understand business and you're not a fucking fanboy like that clown in my chat, you understand that businesses have to make changes. They have to pivot. And that is what Microsoft did. Because what ends up happening is you have a lot of people on PlayStation that do have interest in some Microsoft games. This is a fact. To a fanboy like that AU person, what a stupid name. What is his name again? AU 106? What a fucking idiot. Talking about butthurt. What is there to be butthurt about when I'm literally breaking down the industry, you dumb fuck? Get the fuck off my stream, yo. That's fucking idiot, man. You are literally the definition. You are truly the definition of of who I address this to, of gamers who don't know shit about this industry. You, people like you 100% prove my point that people like you don't know anything about this industry. You don't know anything about marketing. You don't know anything about what it takes to make a business pivot. You don't know shit. All you know how to do is mash fucking buttons. So why don't you hop off my stream, go mash your buttons, because that's all you're fucking worth doing. That's all you can do. You cannot even begin to challenge me on any point here. None. So why don't you hop the fuck off my stream, and I bid you adieu. Let me continue what the fuck I was talking about here, because people like this guy is a fucking idiot. He's a complete no count, and I have given him enough of my time, and I will go back to what I was talking about. Now, where was I? Let's see. So yes, all right. So getting back to this number. Now these numbers represent the installed base, right? How many people have a PlayStation? So again, as I've repeatedly said, people on the Sony side do have interest in Microsoft games, because wasn't it several months many of Xbox games were the top selling games on Sony hardware? I believe that was a thing, but oh wait, me mentioning that I'm a fanboy, and it's just wild that even though I mentioned the facts on both sides, I'm still, it's just wild to me. But anyway, that just goes to show people who have low IQ, and these are the sort of like low IQ people I deal with over on Reddit, over on X, in my streams, in the comment section. These are people, they can't match me in any real point. All they do is they spew lies and bullshit. That's all they do. So getting back to the point, if you were to have a very good Xbox game and sell, and it sells completely on Microsoft, you're only going to ever get the amount of people that have your console. And in this situation, as you can see, according to this number, this data here, only 30 million units. So wouldn't it make more sense, if you're trying to drive additional revenue to that game, just to port the game on a larger platform? But you're not giving it away for free. You are licensing it. People like that fool in my chat, this guy has never even heard of the word licensing before, and cannot even define it, more than likely, because if you could, you would understand that Microsoft are positioning their games to gain more money beyond their current platform. You know what licensing allows you to do? I actually had this idea in my mind late last night, and I was kind of voicing it out, and I said, you know what, this will be a good point. When you are a console maker and you have the console, it's like that's your home base, right? You have your PlayStation base, you have your Xbox base, you have your Nintendo Switch base. Those are your home bases, and everything that begins and ends happens on your base. Well, what happens if you were to establish a small colony elsewhere? What if you were to have something called an FOB? Does anybody even know what the fuck that even means? I'm sure you guys don't know. It's called a forward operating base. What Microsoft is essentially doing by porting some of their games over onto PlayStation, and some of them are even on Nintendo as well, they're essentially creating a forward operating base of sorts, to where you don't have to have the Xbox to buy this game. You can also buy it on PlayStation, and we are still benefiting. It's like, this is something that these people fail to understand. Microsoft wins because they're getting additional money. The players win because the players on PlayStation that may want to play Avowed, that may want to play Starfield, that may want to play Gears of War E-Day, that may want to play the Forza Horizon upcoming game. Maybe not that clown that's talking shit in my chat. Maybe not him, but maybe somebody else that may want to play a few upcoming Xbox games on their PlayStation. You win. You win. But these fucking PlayStation fanboys, and I mean fanboy in the sense of all they know is to put on their pom-poms and their pink panties and the parade, go PlayStation, yeah! That's what they do. If you were to ask them about anything else, about, well, if you just ask them anything else, they will, goes right over their head. So this is, now, the thing that is a bit of an issue when it comes to Microsoft is their culture. And this is where, when people were to blame Phil Spencer for a lot of things, again, they don't understand how business works. Much of the company culture is passed down from Microsoft Corporation. Phil Spencer, during his tenure, has to operate within that framework. So people blaming Phil Spencer for certain things, you're blaming the wrong guy. He has to take instruction and work within the parameters of the overall Microsoft framework. And this is ultimately, just use this as an example, why, or should I say partly why, Halo Infinite failed. Microsoft, and I don't believe Sony follows this, and if they do, I haven't heard about it. Microsoft employs contractors. The contractors have about a year and a half to work. Why? Because after this, they become, I think, entitled to, God, this is like labor stuff. I think they're entitled to certain benefits. So Microsoft doesn't want that to happen. The company, not Xbox Gaming, the company. So you can take that up with Microsoft. So what ends up happening a lot of times is, and the perfect example of this is Halo Infinite, is they would bring in contracted developers to work on Halo Infinite, and at the time, they would work. The game engine they were using was the Slipspace engine. That was the engine that they were using for Halo Infinite. So many of the developers that were a part of the development team for Halo Infinite, they would get outside individuals to help speed the development cycle to get the game out. Well, Microsoft, the company, has a program, I guess, for lack of a better word, where when you bring in outside people, they are contracted for about 18 or so months. It was like a year and a half. Well, these people have never worked on the Slipspace engine, so they have to learn the engine, and that's not a small task. Sometimes it could take people maybe close to a year. Then they have to be in line with, okay, where is the current development of Halo Infinite? Where is it at right now currently? Now time is passing on, and those 18 months or however long it is, that comes by fast, or that goes by fast. So Microsoft has to let them go, and then at that point, you might say, well, why don't Microsoft just rehire them? Well, unfortunately, they are Microsoft. You cannot rehire the same contractor for half a year, 6 months. So now what ends up happening is you let those contractors go. Now you have to bring in new people, and the cycle continues. So the amount of time that you're actually able to spend developing the game, understanding the game engine that the game is built on, you're making little and little progress. And then if you factor in also that there were people that originally wanted Halo Infinite to be a hero shooter, like Marvel Rivals style, and then they changed it back to it being a single player experience. So there was a lot going on with the development of Halo Infinite. And I'm using this game as an example because there are many games that this goes on. Like, this happens. This is literally the fucking the cycle. And that is one thing I do criticize Microsoft for. It wasn't because the developers weren't good. It's just that the developers of that game, they were under lock and key of the business practices of the parent company, which is Microsoft Corporation. So you ended up getting a game that was not 100% finished, was kind of haphazard, and took years to this day to get Halo Infinite into a better space. This is a fate that many games suffer, but Microsoft specifically, I know for a fact that this is the company culture that they do, which is they hire a lot of contractors. I can't confirm that Sony doesn't do it, and I'm not going to take nobody's word for it until I do my research into it. But I know based on my research, Microsoft employs a lot of contractors to develop their games internally. Now, that wouldn't be a bad thing if it wasn't for the type of rules that they have to follow in terms of how long the contractor can stay on the project, and then the amount of time that has to go by before you can bring that contractor back onto the job. But would your typical average gamer know this? Fuck no. Would some of the trolls that are in the chat, would they know this? Fuck no. They wouldn't know any of this. It is what it is. At the end of the day, Microsoft realizes that they had to make a change, and they made that change. They started the change back in the 8th generation with the Xbox One, and they're going to fully realize that change for the upcoming Xbox, whatever they're going to call it, Magnus or whatever they're going to call it. That system is going to be very expensive, and according to the current specifications that I've seen, it's going to absolutely blow PlayStation 6 out of the water. And many people are saying that it's probably a good idea that PlayStation or Sony is delaying the release of the PS6 because not only because of the RAM prices, and while the price of RAM is through the roof, let's also not forget this other fact that Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. Sony is not. So Sony cannot make the type of moves that Microsoft can make when it comes to RAM. So there are many people that theorize that Sony is delaying their PlayStation 6 to reevaluate their specifications and to try to wait and see if RAM prices will come down. Because Microsoft, the price of RAM doesn't affect Microsoft the way it affects Sony or Nintendo, because Microsoft has much more of a market value. They have more money, basically. And the funny thing about it is Microsoft, I mean, you can kind of, depend on how you feel about it, Microsoft is actually one of the reasons why RAM prices are as high as they are, because Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, all of these big tech companies are buying RAM in bulk, which is driving up the price of RAM. So if you really want to be, and they're doing it because they're trying to bolster their AI, because that's basically the thing that's going to take over gaming, people. Hate to say it, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's the future. So, you know, it is what it is. Also, if we were to believe the rumors of the upcoming Xbox, not only is the specifications are going to absolutely destroy what PlayStation 6 is aiming to go for. Now, that's not to say the PS6 is not going to be a very capable console. It is. But if we're looking at it from apples to apples, like one-on-one, so much like how the PS4 was stronger than the Xbox One, because it was, not by much, the Xbox Series X is more powerful than PS5 on paper, but then again, you also have other factors. So it does get very nuanced, but if the rumors are true, and these are rumors, based on the specifications I've seen of the PS6, versus the specifications of the Xbox next console, I have a few friends that are in the, how should I put this? I have a few friends that their job is in technology, and they're not hardcore gamers, but they play a few games here and there. And I asked them to compare these specifications. I sent it over, and they said to me that this is not really a console. And I was like, I know. He was like, so what are they doing? They being Microsoft, and I told them, because they're not really gamers. Like I said, they're casual gamers. And I said that Microsoft are looking to go more so a hybrid approach. And my friend was like, well, it's more PC. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, this is going to be expensive. That's what he told me. It's going to be expensive. Like, these specifications this is not a $500 system. And the conversation went on, but I wasn't told anything I didn't already know. I already knew that looking at the specifications, the next Xbox console is gonna, unless Sony reevaluates and bolsters their system, at present, based on what we all know, that's public knowledge, it's, and then it's not even just that. Because Microsoft is embracing and I would say is going more toward the PC side of things, they are going to integrate Steam, GOG, those ecosystems, along with Windows and the usage of Game Pass. So that means that you being a Sony fanboy, I will be able to play your game on my Xbox via their PC version. That's what that means. So that is going to put Sony in a very precarious position, because Sony as a company, fuck the fanboy shit. Sony as a company looks at that and they look at that as a real threat, because now our competition, Microsoft, they can literally play our exclusives on their hardware because we're putting out a PC version of it. So now, what do you do as Sony? Do you stop porting your games to PC? Aren't you gonna piss off those Sony players that enjoy playing a PC version? Are you gonna piss them off? So it puts Sony, but see, the typical gamer is not going to understand these type of chess moves. They're not gonna understand. All they know is to pick up the controller, play, do their fucking tenant combo. That's all they fucking know. That's all they know. They're not thinking about the what's behind the closed door. They're not seeing this. They're not. I see it clear as day. Sony is going to have to make a decision. Are they going to cut PC ports of their exclusives? They're going to have to.
All right, guys, get ready for the go out. So go out to this EDC. Y'all take it easy. See you next time.
I still feel you.